Gire's first semester of college was pretty typical. She missed her family, spent entire days playing video games, and she gained 10 pounds. But for Gire, an international student studying at the University of Michigan Flint, this was only the beginning of her troubles. As she explained to the New York Times on January 3rd, 2016, her struggles as an international student forced her to drop out, all while incurring tremendous debts in the process. It wasn't that she wasn't a good student. She had plans to become a doctor. But as an international student studying in the United States, she struggled every day. Unfortunately, Gire's story is one reoccurring at universities across the nation. The Institute for International Education in a November 2015 report explains, there are currently 1 million international students in the United States, representing a 10% increase from the past year alone. However, as The Guardian on May 29, 2015 explains, universities are pushing international students to attend, charging them substantially more in tuition, all while failing to help them succeed. The end result is that international students are not succeeding. The Wall Street Journal on May 29, 2015 estimates, in the past year alone, over 8,000 Chinese students were expelled because of academic failure. Yes, some of these students may not have been ready for college, but far more are dropping out because they weren't provided the tools promised to them upon admission. By taking their money but failing to help them succeed, our universities are taking advantage of international students. We must stop financial exploitation of these students. Today, we'll consider the problems they face, causes, and finally some solutions. These students may feel voiceless on their campuses, but their stories must be heard. International students at the University of Minnesota were shocked. They walked to their cars to find the words, "Go back home," had been written. But as Foreign Policy on September 1st, 2015 explains, for international students, this type of discrimination is rampant. International students face two key problems: tremendous debts and discrimination. First, international students are plagued with tremendous debts. Inside Higher Ed on May 8, 2015 explains, these students pay on average $24,000 more over their 4 years, leading universities to make them top recruiting priorities. These students often aren't eligible for federal financial aid or scholarships. So as the Institute for International Education in 2015 estimates, 3/4 of international students rely on family or personal funds as their main source of funding. This debt impacts both students and their families, pushing them into poverty, even foreclosure. Yes, American students incur tremendous debts while getting an education. They do so with the promise that they'll have the tools to succeed. Conversely, international students are investing tens of thousands of dollars in an education, all while failing to receive a degree. Second, when American students face discrimination, they know where to turn. But for international students, simply coping is the only option. This discrimination can be isolating, even fatal. The April 2015 book, International Students and Crime, tells the story of E, a male from India. After being invited to a party, he felt he was finally being welcomed into his new home. But on arrival, he was severely beaten by US students, undergoing traumatic brain injury. As he stated, "Incident ruined my career, my future, and my life." Further, a student who spoke with the International Journal of Educational Management in May of 2015 explained, "Professors and classmates label international students as less able from the start, and consequently mock them. This isolation leads students to report feeling unwelcome, face difficulty securing campus jobs, even reports of sexual assault and violence. But even more disheartening, this discrimination is rarely reported. As one student explained, if you speak up, you make things more difficult on yourself. They don't believe you, they send you home. For Zamzin, an international student at the University of Cincinnati, succeeding academically proved harder than he expected. As he explained in the April 2015 Journal of Health Psychology, I lost everything. I failed my degree. I was a hopeless and worthless failure. The problems international students face have two causes. International students are heavily recruited, and universities fail to adapt to their needs. First, international students are heavily recruited by U.S. universities because they are profitable. The BBC on June 2, 2015 explains, amid rising costs and budget cuts for universities, cash-strapped schools are driving the trend, even going so far as to hire foreign consultants to recruit international students. The New York Times on January 3, 2016 confirms this, explaining that these recruiters are paid up to $1,000 for every student they recruit. Practice that was deemed illegal when attempting to recruit domestic students. International students are subsidizing our education, all while being treated like they don't belong. Second, U.S. universities fail to adapt to the needs of international students. They lack important resources, such as advisors trained to assist them. The previously cited BBC article explains, the services that extra fees are supposed to go to, such as English language classes and tutoring, are oftentimes barely functioning, if even present. Universities argue their international student offices are assisting international students. But as an Inside Higher Ed, January 4th, 2016 report contends, while some international student offices do a fantastic job, the large majority of them do nothing but track and prepare visa requirements, leaving international students on their own to grapple with whatever struggles they face. Our universities recognize that international students are struggling. They aren't doing anything to assist them with the changes they're facing. Upon arriving in America, Chen Ji struggled to succeed in classes his family took up immense steps to afford. As he explained to the previously cited Journal of Health Psychology, I thought my parents might not love me anymore. I felt I was placeless. No student should pay tens of thousands of dollars to be isolated, assaulted, and receive a poor education. We must work to engage and support international students. Finally, solutions for both universities and individuals. First, universities must establish functioning international student centers. While many universities lack them, these centers can work, something Stanford University proves through their Bechdel International Center. At the center, students have access to open advising, academic workshops, and various social events. They also have advisors trained to speak in their native languages. These resources serve to enhance their time both academically and socially. We must place pressure on our universities to invest in similar resources. Only by establishing functioning international student centers can we ensure these students are successful in the States. Second, we must all work to create opportunities for cross-cultural interaction between international and domestic students. The May 2015 Journal for International and Global Studies explains, for international students, having an increased relationship with peers and professors can increase their academic performance, overall well-being, and sense of belonging. But these relationships can be incredibly difficult to form. At my own university, I was able to participate in a program called Conversation Partners, which paired small groups of international students with domestic ones. Throughout the duration of the program, we were able to meet with international students, not only to answer their questions, but also to speak about their experiences in their home countries. While we may not have access to a program like Conversation Partners, this handout contains information on how we can all reach out to international students, so we can all serve as their allies. The state of Nebraska has welcomed thousands of international students into their universities. It's time they start helping them. For American students, the transition to college is incredibly incredibly difficult. But for international students, these struggles are amplified tremendously. For the 1 million international students studying in the United States, we must do better. Providing them with a setting they don't fail